Following with the creation of users' profiles, in this lesson I will continue two more methods used for analyzing dictionary use: interviews and observations. In this context, interviews mean structured, semi-structured, or open-ended conversations with users of reference works, where the researcher asks questions to find out things like this. 1. User behavior. They ask for how, when, and why people consult reference works. 2. Preferences. They ask for whether they prefer paper or electronic reference works, bilingual or monolingual reference works, general or specialized ones, etc. 3. Strategies. They ask for how they search for words, deal with unknown meanings, or interpret dictionary symbols, to name just a few. 4. Problems. They ask for difficulties users face, for example, too many senses, unclear definitions in the reference works, and so on. 5. Attitude. They ask for how useful or trustworthy they find the reference works they are consulting. For this method, lexicographer watch and record how individuals interact with reference works in real-life situations. This method involves directly observing users as they consult reference works to understand how 1. They browse entries, 2. They interpret definitions, and 3. Uses other features provided by the dictionary. Let's go now to observations. Observations refer to the systematic and methodological process of watching and recording how individuals work with reference tools in real-life situations. This method involves directly observing users as they look up reference tools to understand how they browse entries, interpret definitions, and use other features provided by the reference works. Compared to questionnaires, which give more quantifiable data, interviews and observations allow deeper insights into individual experiences and reasoning. Researchers can ask follow-up questions, can clarify misunderstandings, and explore unexpected themes that arise during the process. Interviews and observation have these advantages. 1. They can reveal behavior users do not appreciate and therefore cannot describe. For example, how users approach reference works and which strategies they use to look at words. 2. The data cannot be colored by misunderstandings, misconceptions, or sheer fraud. For example, cooking the statistics. 3. They are typically conducted in natural settings. For example, observations take place in classrooms or libraries. 4. Researchers observe and note any challenges or difficulties users encounter during the consultation process. For example, users may have problems in terms of usability and accessibility. 5. They make it possible to examine contextual factors influencing the use of reference works. For example, the observation of how a specific task is carried out. 6. Researchers can measure the time users spend on different tasks related to the consultation process and thus calculate the efficiency of reference works. But these two methods also have disadvantages, being relevant the following. 1. Users may not report their real behavior. They might idealize, forget, or misrepresent, or they may suffer the observer's paradox. This paradox explains that users may change their behavior because they know they are being observed. 2. Interviews and observations are time-consuming and can be very intrusive, especially in contexts like exams that can disrupt natural reference work use. 3. Lexicographers deal with small samples, so results are less generalizable. 4. Interviews may influence answers. For example, the way questions are asked can shape the answers. 5. Observation rests on notes taken or recordings, and these are hard to analyze systematically. Now you have a practical set of sample questions you can use supplying interviews and observations in reference work use research. Let's go to start with interviews. They are asked directly and should keep a conversational style. Here are some questions we can use for making interviews for analyzing dictionary use. 1. When do you usually use a reference works? For example, for reading, for writing, for translating, for studying, etc. 2. Do you prefer paper or electronic reference works, and why? 3. What problems do you face when looking up a word? 4. How do you decide which sense meaning is the right one? 5. How confident are you in understanding dictionary symbols, abbreviations, and so on? 6. If you could improve one feature of your reference work, what would it be? 7. Do you think reference use helps your learning, translation, writing, and how? Regarding observations, we watch users in action and combine notes with short clarifying questions afterwards. Here is a list of them. 1. How long does it take the user to find an entry? 2. Do they scan multiple entries before choosing one? 3. Do they consult only definitions or also examples, grammar notes, etc.? 4. Do they stop searching once they find a word or cross-check other entries? 5. Do they use additional tools, for example, Google Translate, Corpora, spell checkers, etc.? 6. What difficulties are visible? Hesitation, going back, rechecking, etc. Then we can add some follow-up questions after observation. For instance, these two questions can be relevant. 1. I notice you look at more than one entry. What made you do that? 2. Was there any part of the dictionary entry that confused you? In some, interviews give right insights into why users act as they do, and observations show what users are doing.